Head on over to Pretoria because the Commission of Inquiry into allegations of criminality, political interference and corruption within the criminal justice system, also known as the Madlanga Commission, is expected to hand its interim report to President Cyril Ramaphosa today. Now, the commission was established following claims by KZN Police Commissioner Matlanga that criminal syndicates have infiltrated law enforcement structures. Since beginning its work in September, the Commission has heard testimony from several witnesses, including Mkhwanazi himself, as well as Crime Intelligence Head Dumisani Khumalo. Now, Iman Rupeti, who has been following this proceeding from day one, joins us live now from the seat of government. And I think it was very poignant, Iman, a little bit earlier when you were speaking to Eldred, really around why this is not being made public. And it was really about being prudent and ensuring that nothing in this discourse comes out half-baked, in the words of Vincent Magwenya. Good morning again.
Good morning, Arabile. And I want to pick up, though, if I may, on the fact that seemingly isolated incidents can actually be so intertwined. The resounding theme in the evidence that we heard at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry was around networked criminal syndicates, how they operate, who they influence, and how they take root. And those seem to be some of the themes emanating from the aftermath of DJ Warris's murder. This is Mr. Stock's murder in the Johannesburg CBD yesterday, in trying to root out those networks from hijacked buildings, from those who might be involved that stand a lot to gain from criminal activity that simply goes unchecked. And even though that wasn't an element, specifically the hijacked buildings in the Johannesburg CBD that emerged in the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, this taking hold of the system, this hijacking of the system certainly was a central theme. And again, it's so emblematic of the state of rot that sits in South Africa when governance is left unchecked, when accountability is left unchecked, and those with nefarious intentions can be weaponized against the state to take the maximum and extract the maximum benefit for their selfish and criminal misdeeds. And even though that report is not going to be made public, I want to put to Professor Lesiba Teffo, who is joining me here at the Union Buildings, the singular importance of the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry and the work at this stage of what we are hopefully going to find out in the next couple of months, but certainly what the President, Prof. Teffo, is going to find out today.
Just before I comment on your question, your opening remarks compels me to say people want leadership positions, but they don't want to use them. We want office. You want to govern, but you don't want to govern. I mean, you're talking about hijacked buildings, criminal syndicates. For the past 30 years, I heard about those. But in the past 10 years, things gotten worse. Yet you have people in the office who should be responsible for that. I hold no brief for Mashaba, but had he been given more time, he would have turned things around in Johannesburg. And perhaps others would have learned something from him. Just get the right people to do their job.
I mean, it's interesting you talk about Mashaba because, DJ Warris had talked about Mashaba also specifically in terms of their inner city rejuvenation plan. And that was a sentiment that he had expressed. Had I been in place, we could have maybe turned things around in the CBD. We're hoping for a turnaround in this commission. You know, people have talked about the outcomes of the Zondo Commission of Inquiry not having reached the standard of public accountability and really getting to the heart of what went wrong with state capture. We have the second opportunity, Prof, to really show that we're energized in dealing with alleged criminal syndicates and getting to the bottom of those very serious allegations that were made, including those that led to the killing of one of the witnesses at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Are you hopeful that this is that moment?
Look, I think the Zondo Commission have done a lot. The fault is not with the stars, South Africa is in a mess. The fault is with the leadership. Did they act on the Zondo Commission? The cynicism and the skepticism that you hear is informed by the numerous reports that we have had but not implemented. Are they going to implement this one when it comes? That's another question. The only one that gives me much hope is a parliamentary process than this one.
Why so, Prof?
Yeah, yes, I think that's a point for me, right? Because that one doesn't belong to the president. He doesn't have to apply his mind. It's Parliament that will take care of the process and see it to the logical conclusion. These are the ones that go to the president. I'm applying my mind. I am applying my mind for another 10, 20 years, and nothing is happening. And you pick and choose those that we want to implement.
Why are you expressing such a lack of confidence in the president's ability to do something? And by do something, and which is what they've already sort of hinted at earlier this week through Vincent Magwenya, is that where it's possible for prosecutions, where it's possible for action to be taken, even in the interim before the final report, they will.
I know you are a good cook. They say the taste of the pudding is in the eating. I've been around. I know what I'm talking about. And the cynicism that you get out there is informed by existential experience. If he can prove us wrong, we can all celebrate. And he doesn't have to even wait for Madlanga. Let us give impetus to the implementation of the Zondo Commission and others. By the way, it's not only the president. You have mayors, you have got premiers, they are all rims and rims of report that they don't act on. I hope this time around, things would be different. If we don't do that, we are the ones who will suffer the consequences going forward. You cannot in South Africa be talking about hijacked buildings and you can even identify them, yet you don't act. You want leadership positions, but you don't want to use them.
A communique from the presidency not too long ago saying that he will also be chairing the SADC Extraordinary Heads of State Summit that's going to be dealing with a number of different issues facing the African continent, including the war and ongoing political tensions in the DRC. But what must take center stage in his attention as he applies his mind would be to that Madlanga Commission of Inquiry interim report. Let's bring back Professor Lesiba Teffo to talk to us about some of his expectations. And already we know that this is significant. Why is this report, even at this stage, Prof. Teffo, so significant insofar as the work it's already done?
See, is the significance of the process and the significance of the report. I'll talk less about the report than the process. The expose, the expositions, the display and the information that came through that confirmed some of the things that we had and suspected. For me, it was a great plus and a benefit to the society. I suspect men in blue today will have more confidence in doing their job, knowing that the big guns were exposed and the rot that was suspected is now known to be there and it must be acted upon. And to that extent, I give credit to the president and those who advise him, go this route.
But there is another test of credibility that you placed on the process as well, Prof, despite making those observations. Is a lot about that credibility is going to perambulate around the course of action that the president proposes, even at this interim stage.
Yeah. Look, should we or shouldn't we know what the interim report is about? I don't think it's a good idea to release it. I know there is a lot about it, and even the suspicion that it can be tampered with. No, the hard copy is available, is out there, and I don't think it's that low to do that. I prefer that it kept under wraps. He can look at it, there isn't much he can do about it, but it would help him to the extent that he can begin to prepare in anticipation of the ultimate report and have an action plan already in his pocket. Please don't take another 10 years applying your mind. That's what make people lose credibility. I can talk about, what is it now, Gauteng province? I was told at one stage there were over 100 reports that are just gathering dust. And it's not only Gauteng province. This thing of commissions, when we were studying law and the public admin in the early days, if you want to waste time, if you want to buy time, just set up a commission of inquiry. And things will fizzle out, people will forget, they will lose steam and so on.
Why is it at this juncture in South Africa where we see prominent murders or we see the murders of witnesses such as Witness D in the Madlanga Commission or the murder of somebody who was dealing with the issue of hijacked buildings in the Joburg CBD? This is Warwick Stock. Why is this moment so important for South Africans psychologically to feel like there's accountability, to feel like the criminal elements in our society are not just going to get away with murder?
Yeah. Please, just act. give the necessary moral and financial material support in any way possible. Some of the things that are happening in this country would not happen in Zimbabwe, nor in Botswana. Their challenges notwithstanding, we have resources. It's the moral decay of the leadership that is responsible for the state in which we find ourselves. They are implicated. They don't want to govern. They don't want to rule. All they want is access to state resources. Surely we are not poor. In fact, we are a fairly rich country, but just undermanaged and mismanaged.
One of the key observations we've made over time through various experts that we've engaged, Prof. Teffo, is the systemic rot, the historical lack of oversight. You've written extensively, you've commentated extensively about the ANC, just recently about the NGC, its own plans to renew, and the bloody nose that it got in our last national election. What is the message to them with a man who is their president, but also the president of the country?
Just hear them out on the ground. They have the solutions. Just implement those solutions and they will help you get it right. I mean, right now, whistleblowers, do they have the moral courage to continue doing what they are doing when they, I mean, even Warara passed on yesterday because he was trying to get things done the right way. How many people, Babida, you name them. People are willing to make this country function as it should. But it lacks quality, visionary, commitment, and accountable leadership. And without that, good political governance is a sine qua non for socio-economic development of any country. South Africa not an exception.
Prof. Teffo, thank you very much.